Hello there. Welcome to my review of the 1948 film Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, starring Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. Naturally, they play delivery men Chick Young and Wilbur Gray, respectively, although the character names are largely superfluous, as they pretty much are always playing Abbott and Costello. They're joined by horror icons Lon Chaney Jr., returning to the role of Larry Talbot, the Wolfman, and Bela Lugosi as Dracula, with Glenn Strange playing Frankenstein's monster for the third time, having taken over the role from Boris Karloff. Karloff was asked to return, but turned it down, although he did agree to do some promotion of the film, and would join Abbott and Costello in Abbott and Costello Meet the Killer Boris Karloff a year later. Lenore Aubert and Jane Randolph fill the female roles, playing Sandra Mornay and Joan Raymond respectively. It was directed by Charles Barton and written by Robert Lees, Frederick Rinaldo and John Grant. It'll be spoilers from the start for this review, but if you've seen other Abbott and Costello films, you'll know what to expect, and if you haven't, this film is a great place to start. It's a brilliant film. The comedy set pieces are hilarious. The plot is surprisingly detailed and well structured to accommodate the set pieces, so that there's a good balance between the story and the gags. It's respectful and honours the original Universal horror films, in that the monsters are never the butt of the jokes, they are merely the catalysts for the humour. It would have been fairly easy to make fun of them, but this film doesn't do that. The laughs come from Abbott and Costello's interactions with the monsters. I think it allows Lugosi and Chaney to relax, knowing the characters that they were so indelibly associated with weren't being treated farcically, which allowed them to enjoy themselves. And that's something which definitely comes across on the screen. It also helps that Abbott and Costello are the only ones acting like they're in a comedy. So the premise is that Abbott and Costello are delivery men who receive packages of the dead bodies of Dracula and Frankenstein's monster for delivery to McDougal's House of Horrors. Of course, Dracula is not actually dead and resurrects the monster. Because of this, Mr. McDougal thinks that the boys have stolen both the bodies, and so they have to try and find where they went. While this is all happening, Costello's girlfriend, Sandra, is secretly working with Dracula, planning to use Costello's brain in the monster to make it more compliant.
What we need today is young blood and brains.
Joan is an insurance investigator, hoping the boys will lead her to the missing bodies so that her insurance company doesn't have to pay out, and Chaney, as Talbot, is attempting to stop the monsters, while also dealing with the curse of him being a werewolf. The plot is fairly truncated in order to make room for the gags and comedy set pieces, but it's still a nice little plot that is complex enough to keep the story interesting. There's a great mix of physical comedy, both overt slapstick and more subtle timing gags, such as the scene where Costello is the only one who sees Dracula emerge from his coffin, while no one else spots it. Plus there's the snappy dialogue and one-liners that Abbott and Costello were so adept at.
I've always shared with you.
That you have.
If I had 2 cigarettes, I'd give you 1.
That's right.
And if I had 2 pair of shoes, I'd give you a pair.
Don't I know that?
And if I have 2 girls...
Well?
Why don't you light that cigarette, put on those shoes, and take a walk for yourself?
The frustration that Costello feels when Abbott refuses to believe him is palpable and shared by you as the viewer. And the scene where, at his behest, Talbot is locked in his room by Costello, who then has to go back in and out of the room for various different reasons, not realising that he is going into a room with a werewolf in it, is both funny and genuinely tense. I would be lying if I said it was scary. Certainly not to an adult audience. But then that's not the point. It is very atmospheric, and there's tension there when it needs to be. And it would probably give younger children a fright. Its intention, though, is to be pure, joyful entertainment. And on that front, it succeeds in spades. The final scene is perfectly executed, with a brilliant voice cameo from Vincent Price as the Invisible Man. Just for one last punchline.
There's nobody to frighten us anymore.
Oh, that's too bad. I was hoping to get in on the excitement.
It's a shame he didn't reprise the role in Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. There aren't that many horror comedies out there, certainly not good ones, as it's a difficult line to walk. Too scary and you don't want to laugh, too funny and you aren't scared. But this is one of the best, as it respects both genres equally, and without some of the wackier set pieces like Costello on top of the crates early in the film, this is a fair portrayal of what happens if normal people are dropped into a supernatural horror scenario. It feels quite believable in that respect, more so than in a lot of straight horror films. Costello is constantly trying to run away from the entire situation, which is exactly what I would be doing. Obviously, I would recommend this film as nothing but the best. Thank you. Goodbye.